Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zehra Naqvi, and I'm the Senior Research Associate at South Asia Research Institute for Minorities. I am glad to welcome you all to this important webinar. As you all know, SARIM is a research organization that works for the right and voice for minority communities in South Asia. We study the problems faced by these communities and help create awareness through research, reports, and public events like today. So today's topic is the intersectionality of caste and religion in South Asia, addressing the plight of Dalit minorities. So in South Asia, many people face discrimination because of their caste. But for those who are also from a religious minority, the challenges are even harder. They suffer from both caste and religious discrimination, which affect their daily lives, their rights, and of course, their future. This webinar will help us understanding these issues better, and we will hear from the experts working in different South Asian countries. So thank you to our esteemed speakers. We are having Cynthia Stephen from India, Zakir Hossain from Bangladesh, Kunjani Pariyar from Nepal, and Pushpa Kumari representing Pakistan. Firstly, we have none other than Zakir Hossain from Bangladesh. He is a chief executive of Nagorik Uddyog, an organization that support marginalized communities and promote justice and human rights. Zakir Hossain, please go ahead with your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you very much for having me once again. Yeah. So, let's talk about a little bit on the what is intersectionality we really understand. Basically, intersectionality, that term is not quite known in our development domain. Recently, we had a very good consultation along with a daily newspaper, very renowned daily newspaper. You may heard the name Pratham, just to invite different sections of population, like indigenous community, Dalit community, Urdu-speaking people, and different groups, transgender and all these, to understand the problems and how the women development and other development interventions, whether they are benefited from them or not, or it is just mainstreaming people get the benefit of. So this was a nice discussion, and we had it in you can say in a public domain the first time in Bangladesh. So it is still an issue that we need to talk about with the development community, that what is the intersectionality mean and how we can address those issues. So intersectionality is a framework for understanding how different social identities, say caste, religion, gender, overlap to create unique modes of discrimination and privileges. The concept is basically theoretically coined by Kimberly Grinshaw. This concept helps highlight the multi-dimensional nature of oppression and discrimination. In South Asian region, caste and religion do not operate in isolation. For Dalit minorities, such as Dalit Hindus, Dalit Christian, and Muslim, even Dalit Muslims exist in some form. In the region, this intersection exacerbates their social invisibility and denies them access to legal protections, economic opportunity, and dignity. The conceptual tools is basically understand intersectionality. We have to look at two different dimensions. One dimension is structural violence. The other dimension is social stratification, that everyday exclusion have not access, access barriers, what you can say, access barriers, legal invisibility, intergenerational trauma, and intergenerational occupation. Of course, some Dalit community has the certain jobs reserved from them, reserved in a sense that intergenerationally they are doing the same job. It's a menial job. If we consider the regional perspective, caste across religion perspective, caste across religion in South Asia. Despite different religious doctrine, caste-like hierarchies persist across all major religions in South Asia. Hinduism, one of the major religion, if you consider the India, the caste explicitly theological and social in Hinduism, it's inbuilt with their religion, theological enrooted. There is a hierarchy, the four different caste hierarchy. Along with that, there is a outcast. Basically, outcasts do not belong to any religion. It was not, but now they belong to Hindu. But outcast is a different groups. If you go 100 years back, you will find that the outcast was not even recognized as a Hindu people. When Gandhi identified themselves Harijan, who are we? That a question asked by Dr. Ambedkar, and Gandhi immediately replied that you are the Harijan. So even not saying that you are Hindu, you are our people, not that. So this is the outcast community. And Shudra also considered as a Dalit. but in Bangladeshi perspective, Shudra is now taking space and they are doing good. So they don't even identify themselves as a Dalit. Reinforced by religious texts and ritual practices that I'm saying, Dalits are subjected to systematic violence and discrimination. And, it's a structural and systematic discrimination. Exclusion and untouchability practice. Untouchability is an issue that, inbuilt with the Dalit word, without if you say Dalit, it essentially indicates that you're untouchable. So that is some form, from Hindus for higher caste or, higher caste Muslims. In Islam, there is two types of, claims equality. Islam always claims we are egalitarian, we are equal. Islam comes in South Asia that with the message that equality and all this, that some of the caste affected people converted, and we know even in Buddhism, Sikhism, all the rooted from Hinduism, and they are the new religion. Why new religion? It is because so far my understanding, my reading says, challenging what is Brahmanism. So challenging the Brahmanism. When Islam's coming to the South Asia, we some of us converted to take up the Islam in the name of egalitarianism. But in Muslims, there is a caste system. Of course, in our Bangladeshi village, if you say, go and research, you will find there are some type of decent community. They don't really accept the other decent community. They say they are the lower caste and the lower form, because mostly in South Asia it comes from the lower caste community. So they say the Ashraf elite and Azlaf is converted or Muslim, and Arjal lowest Dalit Muslim. Dalit Muslim often but from the mosque leadership marriage in alliances. Maybe it is in prevalence in Pakistan. Christianity, and I found that in Indian context, there is a Dalit Christian, is a group. One of my friend, he started a campaign that's saying the Dalit Christian. So who are the Dalit Christian come together? There is a Dalit Christian and Hindu Dalit and Christian Dalit. There is a bit, quite conflict. I am part of the South Asian Dalit movement and International Dalit movement. We are the member of IDS and Asian Dalit Rights Forum. As a Muslim, not non-Dalit. I am Dalit in one sense, because in a Muslim community, I am not from the Chaudhry on Talukdar or any different higher elite class. I'm from the rural background and all this. So my position is also in Islamic case a Dalit, outcast in some form. So there is the excluded scheduled caste status in India, depriving legal and affirmative actions in Bangladesh. It's common. I will talk about this. And basically segregation in churches, separate sitting and burial grounds, and differences in Christianity. Sikhism rejected caste, but Dalit Sikhs, Mazhabis, Ramadasias, something like I cannot pronounce properly, but within the Sikhism, there is a caste system. Separate Gurudwaras are there, for example, in India, separate Gurudwara. If it's the same religion, why should be the separate Gurudwaras? In Hinduism, I found that in different districts in Bangladesh, there is a called, these are the for rishis, temple. These are the for Dalit temple. This is a temple for religions. So temple is a different temple. So this is the untouchability, due to the untouchability, and do not have access in the even religious temple. So Buddhism again in a different form. I know that everyone, even Rabindranath Tagore, he once said that if you would like to opt any religion, Buddhism is the one that you should have. And finally, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and his followers accepted the Buddhism that called the Navayana Buddhism. So Buddhism do not believe any religions comes from not grown from the home. It comes from the sky or something. Buddhism does not really have belief on that. So persist in social life. There is a caste, but caste habits persist in social life, particularly in Nepal and Sri Lanka. So, the Sri Lankan Buddhism, I found very, very, I think that what I can say, very hatred. They are spreading the hatred seriously. In even a Buddhist monk, hatred against the Muslim in Sri Lanka. Last 2-3 years back, you might remember, there is a serious violence with the Muslims and Buddhist monk. Yeah. So these are the system. Dalit Hindus are marginalized for both religion and identity and caste status, as your title of this webinar today. So it's a caste identity and religious status. And even in Dalit women, they are the deprived from the caste as well as Dalit. They're the triple burden of the Dalit women in Bangladesh. So lack of recognition in constitution, census data, and absence from the development policies. This is the perspective of Bangladesh, what I'm saying. In South Asian context, In other countries, even in Pakistan, Sonu Kagran is a very close friend of mine, and we worked together for a long time. So I know then there is one of my friend, he died recently. Okay, sorry, I cannot remember his name. So we learned from them, and I found that there is a lot of differences in even I found some of your 2-3 parliamentarian. They are represent parliament due to the quota or reservation system. In Bangladesh, it is absent. Even though in numbers, Dalit in Pakistan, in number, it is less than Bangladesh. We have almost 10 million Dalit in Bangladesh, but Pakistan, I don't think that much, but still there is a reservation, so far I know. But we don't have any reservation, we don't have policy framework, we have nothing. So this is one of the key areas that we need to discuss. And there is no census, segregated data. Segregated data is completely absent. If you don't have a segregated data for a particular community, you cannot even plan for development intervention. So that's one of the key areas. Social austerization is, sorry, I'll take another 2-3 minutes. Social austerization is one of the key areas. Separate colonies with no municipal service coverage, excluded from public spaces based on the notion of purity and pollution. Physical violence is a different category. We can say denial of regulate caste-based discrimination. There is an economic lack of education, skills, gender-based discrimination, cultural discrimination are there. But good thing is that there is resistant movement and NC building is this last 1.5 decade. There are NGOs and civil society people. They are trying to mobilize the Dalit community, campaigns, enacting the Anti-Discrimination Act, legal redress, representation, grassroots organization, mobilizations. That is there. And networking with the national platform already emerged that we call Bangladesh Dalit and Excluded Rights Movement, BDRM. That's linking with internationally and locally very active. What is the way out? What is the way forward? Constitutional recognition is one of the key areas that Dalit community and our indigenous community, they're fighting for affirmative action for Dalit, including quotas in employment, education, and politics. Dalit sensitive data collection, segregated data we need, strengthening anti-discrimination legislation that we are doing last one decade, but not yet past year. Empower Dalit lead organizations with funding and legal aid. Engage international actors, including UN for accountability. Create regional forums to share best practices. So that's one, but currently we are also working at international level, UN level, for adapting 260 million population all over the world. There are 36 countries. There is a caste discrimination. We have already collected data. So we are now lobbying with international agency like UN, saying that you should have come forward for a declaration. So that if declaration is there, you are recognizing this community, then it would be good to really intervene for their development and establish their rights and other dignity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing the deep insight. We learned a lot from you, someone working for minorities in Bangladesh. We look forward to you always. So the next speaker we are having Cynthia Stephen from India. Cynthia is a Dalit activist, writer, and social policy researcher. She works for raising the voice of Dalit women and fight for justice and equality. Cynthia, we welcome you. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to talk about the issues of the intersectionality of caste and religion in South Asia. So I've just heard a very, very detailed presentation by the situation in Bangladesh and how they have internationalized it. As you know, the whole thing was started, the internationalization of the Dalit issue started with in the year 2000 at the Durban conference. And it was only then that the world came to know that the Dalits are a discriminated lot, the size, the plight, the reality, the kind of extreme, somewhat specific to India, and that is the diversity among the Dalit community in terms of religion. Now, in India, we have the Dalits who are largely from traditional faiths, traditional indigenous faiths. They were at the time of the early census, that is in 1911 and 1921, willy-nilly included, after some processes, included in the mainstream so-called Hindu category. And in 1932, there was a huge struggle by Mr. Gandhi, who went on a hunger strike to ensure that this, what he called Harijans, basically the untouchable communities, would remain to be counted as part of the Hindu population. And so they were counted as Hindus, even though they may not, neither they are part of the insider section of the Hindus, whether in religious terms or in social terms. They have been excluded socially, and even in the scriptures, they are treated as non-entities or persona non grata. However, they have, for statistical reasons, to give numerical weight to the Hindu communities, they have been included. However, not all are Hindus. Many have changed their faith. They have exercised their constitutional right. Many of them have changed their faith to Islam, to join Islam, or traditionally they have been in Islam, or there are many Buddhists in recent years following the example of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Many of them joined Islam. And then also we have a large number of Christians who also converted over the centuries, say at least 2 centuries, and the process continues. The Adivasi or the indigenous population, what we call scheduled tribes in India, they are also, many of them have also converted. So they are not only numerical minorities, they are also religious minorities, plus some of them are ethnic minorities as well. And in this context, at the time of the constitution, a kind of affirmative action was provided for Dalits in the form of reservations in politics, education, and jobs. And in fact, the Pune Pact was a settlement in that context. So Baba Saheb had proposed separate electorates, that is separate voting block for the Dalits, plus a general electorate. He was proposing separate electorate which is only open to Dalits, for Dalits to vote their leaders, and then another general electorate where Dalits would also vote for general candidates. That proposal was not accepted, but reserved constituencies were allowed, and so the political reservation continues to exist within the Indian, and it is only purely and surely for that reason that there is some political representation for some. It is in a sense somewhat notional. Actually, I'll tell you why. So there are Adivasis as well as Dalits, that is SCs and STs, who are in political spaces because of the reservation provided in the constitution. Then there are also percentages of reservations provided for jobs and employment. And even here we do have some representation that is available for Dalits and STs. And another interesting thing to note is that religion is clearly linked to the identity of Dalits. So if you are a Dalit, then you are only eligible for these benefits, these reservation benefits, these constitutional benefits, if you are Buddhist, Jain, or Hindu. If you are a Christian or a Muslim by faith, then you are denied these reservations. Now, this is clearly a violation of the constitutional principle of non-discrimination on the basis of religion, on the one hand. On the other hand, it also penalizes Dalits or Adivasis for taking step to change their religions. In other words, it is an active denial of the freedom of religion to the Dalits and the Adivasis. Now, this is a unique situation. And how did this happen? Why did the religion become a part of the discriminatory process? Why does caste and religion intersect to discriminate against Christians and Muslims in India? For that, the answer is that in 1950, just in August of 1950, just a few months after the Indian Constitution was promulgated and accepted, there was an apocryphal ordinance called the Presidential Ordinance, in which there was one provision which talked about this issue. And so therefore it was reiterated that only Sikh Dalits of scheduled Hindu origin, that all the benefits would only accrue to those who are of Hindu origin and not to any others. However, after a lot of struggle, the Sikhs who are of Dalit origin, they managed to get their reservation, and fairly less in a few years. I mean, I don't have the specific years, but the Dalits who converted to Buddhism, their reservation rights to constitutional reservation was restored, and that therefore excludes the Christians and the Muslims. So it is by virtue of their being part of minority religions that they are being discriminated against. this is the important point that one needs to keep in mind. Not only that, of late, though the Adivasis have, religion was not linked to the benefits given to the Adivasis, and at no time have Christian Adivasis faced till recently any issues. In recent years, we have found, because of the rise of fundamentalist political activism, it is now seen in the villages, particularly the tribal communities, that Christian remote villages, whether they're Dalit or tribal, mostly nowadays tribals also, they are being they are facing social boycott of various kinds if they belong to the Christian faith. And so we have had situations where, in fact, increasingly in the state of Orissa, for instance, which is has large number of tribal districts, tribal majority districts, and also a large number of Christian population who are also tribal. The local villages, they are denying burial rights to the Christians, those to the tribals or Christians. In Northeast, they are now saying that people who have converted to Christianity, sometimes some of these states have 90%, 95% Christian population. In spite of that, there are people who are raising the issue of saying that because you are Christian, you have converted from indigenous faith, and so you don't have the right to constitutional reservations. Now, this is a very, very big issue, and in recent years, it has acquired a lot of importance politically also, because as you know, in Assam, the CAA was implemented, and there are indigenous Assamese Muslims who speak Assamese, and there are people who have migrated from Bangladesh who are also Muslim but speak Bangla. And there are Hindus who migrated from the rest of India, that is mostly Bengal, into Assam, who also speak Bangla. So there is a lot of historical baggage and ethnic realities, and so the Assamese Muslims are also facing some kind of issues vis-a-vis the people who are, and even there is a cut-off date. There are the CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act was brought in. Then the NPR was brought in to say anyone who, they have to show their population, the National Population Register, they have to show that their grandparents' birth certificates, which is absurd because we have had partition in this country, and there is the question of maintaining records is not common. So it creates a lot of stress upon people who have lived for from time immemorial in India, and still the government questions where is your documentation. And the problem of documentation is not the problem of the people, but the fact that the government has failed in its duty to provide the required documentation. Plus, they have what they call the Aadhaar card, which has clearly said that it's only a proof of residence, not of citizenship. So then people may have Aadhaar cards with addresses and phone numbers and their biometric details, but that is not considered as a citizenship, the right that you're a citizen. So it's a very fraught situation in India. The intersection of caste, class, region, language interferes and intersects strongly with the issue of religion and the minority identity. And so, yes, India is a country of minorities. Even the so-called majoritarian sections are actually numerical minorities. And so it's a situation where we are all worried about the outcome, what will happen. But we are also confident that the Constitution of India is very strong, and we have faith in the judiciary and in the capacity of the democratic process to negotiate these matters. So we are engaging as citizens, active citizens at various levels. We are engaging, whether they're students, whether they're activists, journalists, even political people, political parties at raising these issues. So at another level, people, churches and mosques, they are all people of faith are praying that justice will be done. So I believe that in future, these matters will continue to concern us. Now we have a caste census which has been proposed, and we are knowing the relationship that the present ruling dispensation has with the data. We know that there may be some questions raised about the quality of the data and how it is analyzed. And we also want to know how this will impinge upon the collection of both the decennial data, which is now going to have a caste census data. Up to now, for the past 90 years, since the year 1931, we have never, the last caste census data was collected in 1931. So almost 100 years ago now, and 95 years ago. So now we are going to collect the data, and we hope that these data will help policymakers, scholars, and funders, and planners to make a more just decision, so that people of faith, people of citizenship of India will enjoy their full rights. And so this is what I would like to share on this topic at this time with this August group. And I thank SARIM very much for this opportunity to share and think together with us on these thoughts. With this, I hand the session back to the moderator.
Thank you so much for sharing the ground reality, and thank you for your valuable words. We wish you good in the hell. So next we are having the lady boss Kunjani Pariyar from Nepal. She's a human rights lawyer and prevents coordinator at Advocacy from Nepal. She works for justice and equality and the rights for Dalits in her country. So Kunjani, now the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Yes, lots of perspective has already come forward from the South Asian perspective, especially from our seniors who have lots of experience of working on the field of Dalit rights. Namaste to everyone from Nepal. And thank you, organizer, for the opportunity. I'm Kunjani from Nepal, a Dalit woman and a lawyer, and I would like to introduce myself as an advocate for social justice. Today, I want to share about how caste and religion makes the painful ways in daily lives of Dalit minorities in Nepal and across the South Asia. But overall, South Asian perspectives had already come forward. So that's why I will more focused on the perspective of the Dalit minorities in Nepal. So I would like to share some statistics in Nepal. I'm sorry if, as I'm in the office right now, there could be some disturbance over here. Sorry. So in Nepal, officially abolished untouchability in 1963 by its laws, and it's declared itself as a caste-based discrimination-free nations in 2007 itself. And it passed the Caste-Based Discrimination and Untouchability Offense and Punishment Act in 2011. But the sad reality is, until 2024, more than 55 Dalits were killed in the name of law, in the name of caste, simply because of their caste, after declaring itself as a caste-based discrimination-free nations. So the overall populations of Dalits is around 3.4% of the total populations, and our constitution guarantees the fundamental rights of the Dalits on Article 40. But what is the reality is the UN office conduct one research in 2020, which declared that 97% of the respondents said that there is a caste-based discrimination. And 50% of them, there are lots of research in that research. There are lots of things that is included. But what also included over there is the forms of discriminations. And as we are discussing about the religion and religious practices, so 50% of the respondent responds that they are not allowed to enter into the temple, and that is one form of discrimination they shared. And there is a question that why you don't want to file a complaint, or why you don't want to go forward for the case, although it has lost. 70% of them respond that they don't want to breach the social harmony. So the what this statistics tell. There is a harsh reality of the caste-based discriminations, and even though there is a discrimination, people don't want to go to the court and they don't want to file a case. So that is our reality. So I want to add what happens when religion is added. So in Nepal, so Dalit Commission shared a report which says that there are different forms of exclusion. That in temple, there is being denied; in school, made to sit separate, and in water resources, there is banned to use common taps and wells, and in public events, they were discriminated or they were forced to sit in the back. So what happens when religion is added to the caste? Let's discuss about this. So in Nepal, Dalit belongs to the different religions, but most of them is the of course, Hindu, because most of the population in Nepal is Hindu. But there are also some in Christian, Buddhist, and grown numbers in Muslims as well. And although in theory, religion should be the source of peace and equality, but sadly, the caste-based discriminations continue even after the conversion. So that is the saddest reality for now. So in Hinduism, Dalit are seems to be as impure. Even in 2025, some temples still do not allow Dalits to enter or take part into religious rituals. In Christianity, so many of the Nepal, many of the Dalits convert into the Christians. So to skip the caste phenomena. But sadly, they face the discrimination. They are not. They are excluded from the church leadership. They are born separately and socially treated as a lower caste itself, although you are a Christian. And in Islam, so in the Tarai area of Nepal, so we can find the Dalit Muslims as well. So they are still not fully accepted. They are upper caste Muslims who do not accept the lower caste Muslims or Dalit Muslims. So in Buddhism, which teaches us the lessons for the equality, the Dalits and Janajatis, especially the Dalits from Janajati and other backwards, still treated unequally within the Buddhist social settings. This means that changing religion does not erase the caste. So that is the sad reality right now. While we talk about the Dalit women in Nepal, overall Dalit women's status, so we have a special provision for the elected Dalit women in every ward, which ensure the representation of Dalit women in the local level. But the saddest challenge is that they do not have they can't the more position rather than that Dalit women representation post. So they were not in the leadership positions. So the data from the FEDO organization shows that the Dalit women are around 19% of the Dalit girls were victim of sexual violence, and they do not get access to justice. And in Baitari district in 2021, one Dalit girl were raped and killed, and so there are lots of cases that is in this same. So even in the faith spaces, Dalit women are excluded from rituals and assigned as the cleaning role and made to eat separately during the feast. So only 1% of the political representation in Nepal are Dalit women, even though we make up to 7% of the female populations. And this shows the social and the structural barrier we continue to face. So this is the overall status we are facing right now. And what we realize from this status is law is not enough. Even only law is not enough. Even though Nepal has the good laws, but the implementation is very weak. Very few people are punished under the Caste-Based Discrimination Act. And the police, judiciary, and even the political parties often ignore and downplay the caste-based violence. So we recently had one case where the university students get discriminated by the profession. And when we try to file the case, the whole administration comes together to suppress the case, and the victim cannot move forward because he said that he got the call from the home minister not to file the case. So that is the reality of our situation right now. And the religious institutions rarely have internal rules or training to stop caste-based discriminations in their communities. So that is our reality. So what needs to be done? So now we need to bring the real change, and for that we need to do certain actions from all sides, including government, religious leaders, civil society, and the communities. And there are 5 steps I suggest in this forum. So first one is make religious space truly inclusive. Temple, churches, and mosques must actively reject the caste biases. Second, train faith leaders and communities to understand caste as a human rights issue. And third, implement existing law properly, especially to ensure the police and court takes caste-based discrimination seriously and Dalit complaints seriously, and promote Dalit leaderships, especially the Dalit women in the politics, religious institution, and public spaces. And 5, build cross-border solidarity and Dalit communities in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and everywhere, because we share the same struggles everywhere. So what I want to share here is we simply demand dignity, justice, and respect as a Dalit community. And whether we are Dalit Hindus, Dalit Christians, or Dalit Muslims, or Dalit Buddhists, or whatever we are, our faith should not be the place for the pain. It should be the place for the peace. And our caste should not determine our future and potential, of course. So let us work together to build a South Asia where no one is treated less simply because of their birth. Thank you.
I totally agree with you. Thank you so much, Kunjani, for your powerful voice from Nepal and for sharing well-researched insight. Thank you so much. Next and final speaker is Pushpa Kumari from Pakistan. She's a human rights defender and a member of Council Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. She is known for speaking up for Dalit women and working for change. Pushpa, please go ahead.
Thank you, SARIM, South Asian Research Institute. It's a opportunity. It's a big opportunity for us as a Dalit woman regarding to show my insight on the basis of the caste. We face different discrimination, different kind of discrimination in because of our caste. First of all, I would like to thank Zakir Hossain and Cynthia, and also from Nepal. It's very useful and very knowledgeable insights from their country. It's a very useful and very knowledgeable for us because we are very far away, but it's not our heart is close to every country and every SAARC country. Our hearts are very close. So first of all, as a minority, as a Dalit woman, as a human rights defenders, and as a minority woman, we face different types of discrimination. Like in 1957, in our ordinance 1957 in Constitution of Pakistan, there is a 40 caste, and from 32 of them are scheduled caste. We are not as a मेरे ख्याल में हम इसको ऐसे कह सकते हैं कि हम यहाँ पे दलित टर्म को यूज करना भी हमारे लिए बड़ा, आप उसको ऐसे कह सकते हैं कि एक गलत टर्म में इस्तेमाल किया जाता है कि यू आर नॉट दलित्स, आप दलित्स क्यों कह रहे हैं अपने आप को, यू आर नॉट अनटचेबल्स. So it's in our country there is a scheduled caste. We recognize them as a scheduled caste because in Constitution of Pakistan we are a scheduled caste. So मैं सबसे पहले ये कहूँगी कि because our work like regarding Muslims or different majority people, we are discriminated by our work. Like we are a Baba, we are a Lohar community, we are a Kumbhar community, we are a Mochi community. These communities are because of discriminated by their work. तो बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें होती हैं कि हमारा जो काम है because of work we discriminate many of the people like sweepers. We are most of them for scheduled caste are sweepers. तो ये भी एक discriminatory attitude आता है कि आप like them we call them a bhangi. तो बहुत सारी women associated with these works are discriminated and harassed and violence against them. It's a very known in different parts of the country. In Punjab also they are discriminated attitude by the Christian. They call them a choda. Choda is a very unacceptable word. By call them a choda from a Christian community. They face a very derogatory attitude. दूसरा ये कि stigma associated with these jobs are most of them are like in 3 months our girls from minor girls are kidnapped and forcefully converted by different people, the majority of the people they convert them. जो girls convert हुई हैं they are from the scheduled caste or from Dalit communities. जो बहुत सारी जो खवातीन हैं या जो माइनर गर्ल्स हैं they are from Dalit communities. So this is very alarming situation over there कि जो Dalit communities की girls हैं वो ही क्यों kidnap हो रही हैं? Why they kidnap or they harass or they force to convert? So most of the upper caste girls are not kidnapping or not convert to the majority religion. So it's a very alarming situation over there. In 3 months, 7 girls. In 3 months, 7 girls from scheduled caste community are kidnapped. Most of them are minor girls. तो एक इंसाइट बड़ा शेयर करने की मैं मेरी हिम्मत बनी थी कि मुझे ये भी एक शेयर करना चाहिए. So जो सेक्शनलिटी में कास्ट एंड रिलीजन इज 2 डिफरेंट फिनोमेना. कि आप इंटरसेक्शनलिटी ऑफ कास्ट को किस तरह से डिवाइड करेंगे, हाउ डिवाइड फ्रॉम intersectionality in the caste and the religion. जब आप religion की बात करते हैं, तो most of the people in Pakistan said that there is no caste discrimination over here in Pakistan because this is our जो हमारा जो मुस्लिम कंट्री है वहाँ पे इस तरह की डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं हो सकती है. बट विद इन द माइनॉरिटी विद इन द माइनॉरिटी अगर हम देखें तो मोस्ट ऑफ अपर कास्ट पीपल आर politically strong and they are in power structure, but most of the Dalit are not in political power structure. So how ये जो पावर स्ट्रक्चर में जब आप पॉलिटिकली आपकी सीट्स होती हैं फ्रॉम 9 सीट्स जो आपको पॉलिटिकली एमएनएज और एमपीज की सीट मिलती है अपर हाउस इन लोअर हाउस इन प्रोविंशियल असेंबली और इन नेशनल असेंबली, दे डोंट नो अबाउट आवर problems, our issues, from our Dalit issues, they don't know about. They are only a business class or they are a landlords or they are from business class. So it's a very difficult time for us. We are facing. We are not politically strong. We are not socially strong. We don't have a job. So in Pakistan, we are facing intersectionality of the caste because the Bhil community are not married with the Koli community. The Koli community men are not married with the uh, Jogi community. The Jogi community are not married with the another caste. So it's intercaste discriminatory attitude is over here because in our caste system, me as a backward community are not married with the other scheduled caste person. So it's also stigma over there that our communities are not married with the other scheduled caste persons or anybody else from different upper caste. It's very हम कह सकते हैं कि इसको कि आप अपर कास्ट के किसी फर्द से जो है वो शादी नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो यहाँ पे ये जो डिस्क्रिमिनेटी इंटर जो कास्ट में मौजूद है और ये जो है ये भी एक तरह से हमें एक दूसरे से डिफरेंशिएट भी करता है और अलग भी रखता है. तो ये इन सोसाइटी जो लोअर कास्ट विद इन द हिंदू कम्युनिटी अगर वो इट्स फ्रॉम हारी इट्स फार्मर्स फ्रॉम द लैंडलॉर्ड्स, इट्स आल्सो दे आर आल्सो in a torture cell like the landlord, all of the कोली कम्युनिटीज की जैसे खवातीन हैं तो उनको अपनी जेल में या उनके जो उनके सब जेल होती है वहां पे रखे जाते हैं. तो दे आर फ्रॉम देयर हारी और देयर लेबर. So it's also a very difficult thing that the land grabbers or land business mind class जो है वो उनके साथ बहुत ज्यादा डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी एटीट्यूड और डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी एक तरह से उनको ये भी कहा जाता है कि आप हमारे हारी हैं तो आप जो है सिर्फ इसी काम से रिलेट करेंगे. जो आपके फील्ड में जो एग्रीकल्चर फील्ड में जो काम करने वाली खवातीन है उनकी माइनर गर्ल के साथ वो फोर्सफुली जो है वो फिजिकल होना, ये बहुत सारे इश्यूज जो है वो बहुत सारे ये जो केसेस है वो भी हाईलाइट हुए हैं और ये भी मीडिया तक नहीं पहुंचे. मीडिया आल्सो मीडिया नॉट अ प्ले अ रोल दीज टाइप्स ऑफ केसेस आर हाईलाइट देम कि ये जो केसेस है उनको हाईलाइट नहीं करते हैं कि अगर यही लाइक आजू राजा केसेस आजू राजा का जो केस हुआ था वो इट्स अ वेरी हाई प्रोफाइल केस. लेकिन इसी तरह अगर हमारी इन 3 months में जो माइनर गर्ल जितनी भी किडनैप हुई हैं उनके केसेस जो है हाईलाइट नहीं होते हैं. तो मीडिया इट्स आल्सो नॉट अ पॉजिटिव रोल. तो ये भी एक तरह से हमारी डिस्क्रिमिनेटिव एटीट्यूड है कि हम देख रहे होते हैं कि वो भी इस तरह हमारी जो है वो हाईलाइट नहीं हो रहे होते हैं केसेस. अभी इस ड्यूरिंग इन अप्रैल one of the girl from Tharparkar are converted to the Muslim, married to the Muslim man. After that, her parents face a very discriminatory attitude. Then their whole family are converted to the to the Islam. तो ये भी एक इस तरह का है कि उनकी फैमिली को जो थ्रेट्स आए थे और उनकी फैमिली को थ्रेट्स आए थे उसके बाद उनकी पूरी फैमिली जो है देयर सिस्टर देयर ब्रदर आर कन्वर्टेड टू द इस्लाम. तो ये भी एक तरह का एटीट्यूड है कि सोसाइटी का जो प्रेशर है जो सोसाइटल प्रेशर है इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग कि आपकी सोसाइटी जो है वो आपका डिस्क्रिमिनेट करती है आपको because of your caste, because your caste are from the Dalit community or from a scheduled caste community. It's very important thing. After that, I would like to share the census from in 2023 जो हमारे census हुए थे उसमें भी हमारे साथ एक बहुत बड़ा एक तरह से आप कह सकते हैं कि एक धोखा हुआ था कि the form from the census that shows in our scheduled caste community, they write a scheduled caste in a column of religion. जो आपका जो फॉर्म था सेंसस फॉर्म उसमें आपका जो शेड्यूल कास्ट है वो उसको आपने जो वहाँ पे राइट अप पुटअप किया था वो एक रिलीजन के आफ्टर दैट हिंदू जाति एंड योर शेड्यूल कास्ट इन कॉलम ऑफ द फिफ्थ के कॉलम में रखा और आपका लिखा कि हिंदू जाति एंड शेड्यूल कास्ट इज द रिलीजन. शेड्यूल कास्ट इज नॉट अ रिलीजन. शेड्यूल इज कास्ट इज द caste system in 32 castes from the Constitution of Pakistan. We are underprivileged, we are oppressed, we don't have access to justice, we don't have access to jobs. So in 1957, we are scheduled caste, but scheduled caste is not a religion. We are Sanatan Dharam. We are not, we call them, our call them that I'm from Sanatan Dharam. We are not Hindu. So it's very important thing that Sanatan and Hindu Dharam is a different thing. Hindus is the way of life, or is a way of life, but in Sanatan is a Dharam. So it's very, I would like to say that these insights are very important, and we call them as, we ask the SARIM to research on these things and these kind of discriminatory attitude and discrimination from social, economical, and political also. It's a very discriminatory attitude against Dalits and against the scheduled caste of Pakistan. So I'm very thankful to SARIM and also from different countries and our neighbor countries to listen to me. And thank you all of you.
Thank you. We will surely look forward to it. We are glad to hear the insight from you. Thank you so much, Pushpa. And thank you to all the incredible speakers for shedding light on the intersectionality of caste and religion in South Asia. Your insight have highlighted the urgent need to address the multiple layers of discrimination faced by Dalit minorities. On the behalf of SARIM, we thank everyone for joining. Let's continue to advocate for equality, justice, and dignity for all marginalized groups. Thank you so much for joining. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much.